Hi there, so in this session I'm gonna talk about figure drawing. In the previous sessions we've talked about how to draw an object, how to use simple shapes and forms and volumes. So now it's time to talk about gesture drawing and figure drawing, so let's get started. So now I'm gonna explain to you how to do gesture drawing and the process of that. So whenever you want to draw a figure, first you have to start looking at its movement, not contour lines. So first of all, you need to draw the head. So this is the first stage. You should draw a simple circle for the head. And after that, the other thing is adding spine to it, like this. And spine has three different parts: cervical part, thoracic part, and lumbar part. And then we need to add torso. So I'm gonna just write down here, first head, second part spine, third torso. And the fourth stage is adding legs to it. First we have to draw weight-bearing leg, like this, and then supporting leg, in this way. As you can see, I'm just looking at the movement of the arm and I'm not trying to get the anatomical shapes like this because it's not important. The thing that we're looking for is to just catch the movement of the arm, okay? Throughout using curves and curvy lines. And then let's add the other arm to it. I'm just drawing from imagination, so. Okay, and then I can complete this part by adding some details for neck. So this is the most simple, let's say, way you can draw a figure, just looking for the gesture and movements. And now in the next part I'm going to explain to you the other concepts like wrapping lines, economy of line, and the things that we can add to our figure drawing. Okay, so I'm using a model here for demonstrating to you gesture drawing different position and angles like this. So here I'm adding a circle for head. And then you should look for spine, like this. And then you have to add torso to your drawing. And the other part, the other stage is to add weight-bearing leg, which is this one. And you see I'm just using curves to draw different parts, not straight lines. And at the end I'm gonna add arms to the gesture drawing. Really simple, okay? We don't look for details. So far we added wrapping lines to our drawing, and now it's time to add economy of line to it. So the question is where we should darken our lines in gesture drawing. So whenever we have tension, like in this area, for showing that and for clarifying what's going on, we need to darken the lines on this part. So I'm gonna do so. And another case in which we have to use dark lines are overlapping or overlaps. For example, imagine that we have two circles like this. And if we want to show that this circle is closer and it's overlapping with the other one, you just need to add this line, this darker line here. And then you can perceive that this circle A, I'm gonna call it A, is closer to us. So here also in the body I see that this part is, the rib cage is overlapping with midsection right here. And then the hips. So I'm darkening these lines. And then the line of spine should be darker. And then this part is closer and should be darker a bit. And for showing the weight here, I have to darken this line again. Okay. Also this part should be a bit darker. And here on the arm, the elbow is closer, so I have to just make it a bit darker. And as it goes farther toward the hand, I'm just gonna leave it light like this. And on this part, we have some overlaps. Like this. Okay. So that's finished. And you can see all the stages that we've going through and what you have to do and what you have to look for when you want to draw a gesture drawing. Okay, in the second model, we have a different position. And so it's lying slightly on the floor. So maybe it's gonna be more challenging for you to get the rhythm and movement. You see, I always start with drawing the circle for the head and I add spine to it. And the other concept I really wanted to talk about was symmetry and asymmetry. That's really important. Because if you want to create movement in your drawings, you need to use asymmetrical lines. Because if you use symmetrical lines, the eye of the viewer is going to be stuck right here. And you really don't make any movement in your drawings. If I draw the arm in this way, you see there is no movement here. But instead, if I use asymmetrical lines, like this case in which I'm showing you, you see there is no line here like this on the other side. And the other line is longer, so I'm creating a rhythm here, right? So I'm creating this rhythm by using short lines and longer lines like this. And different types of curves, concave and convex curves like this. And now I'm gonna add legs to it. In this case, we don't have any weight bearing, like all of the weight of the body is on the hips. So I prefer to draw the leg, which is let's say, closer. And now it's time to add arms to the drawing, like this. Okay. So whenever you use short lines like this and you repeat them, the effect would be a slow visual movement for the viewer. Okay. So you have to just avoid, you have to avoid any drawing that's boring for the viewer just by using, for example, short lines or just these long lines, because their effect would be a fast visual movement. Okay, so we call this timing. And if you want to draw a beautiful figure, you have to combine these two, slow and fast visual movement, like what I did here. You can see on this side we have short lines, and the other part we have a long line. So we have two different, let's say, timing here. On this part we have slow visual movement. On the other part we have a fast visual movement. And also on this part, as you can see, we have tension. So whenever we have tension, the result would be also a slow visual movement, as I said. Okay, for giving volume to the drawing here, or showing the roundness of the drawing, we can use wrapping lines here, like this. And on the arms, based on the direction that you see, and on the leg, you have to imagine that here we have, for example, a cylinder. Then you can really understand what should be the right wrapping line here. Should it be like this or the other way? Okay, that's why we have to learn to see anything by, using these volumes. And then on the other part, we have this cylinder. And then I'm going to add economy of line to it. We have weight. So I'm going to just darken this part a bit. We have tension on this part. So let's make it darker. And here also, this arm is closer to us. And then let me finish this part, the neck. And I'm going to add some details for the hair and the head. And then this part we have an overlap. You see? I'm just gonna darken this part because the ribcage is pushing out. So for showing the pressure of that, I'm darkening this part. Okay, that's enough for this drawing. And now let's move on and draw on the other drawing I did before. And I just want to emphasize on wrapping lines by this color. Make it more clear for you. The rhythm, the movement. For example, this is a short line, short curve. So it is a slow visual movement. And then on this part we have a long curve. And the same happens here. So there is no symmetrical forms. Everything here, as you can see, is asymmetrical so that you can create movement in your drawing. Look at this part, for example. The form is something like this. If you look at this part, you can see that it's not symmetrical. So that's why I could create this movement here, like this. There's a zigzag going on, if you look. So I'm creating movement throughout my drawing. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this session, and we talked about figure drawing, basic drawing, and we concentrated more on how to translate everything to simple shapes. And now I'm gonna give you some homework and some exercises that might help you to learn better all this concept here. So you can draw and practice at home drawing lines at first. You have to draw vertical and horizontal lines. Try to repeat them 3 or 4 times and try to draw long lines. And after that, for the next stage, you have to work more on volumes, for example, sphere, cube, and cylinder. Also, shapes are really important. Circle, square, and triangle, these are the basic shapes, and so it's really crucial to know how to draw them. And then your position, the way you move your arm is really important. And after that, I've talked about figure drawing, so you need to at least draw 30 gesture drawings for this week. And that's all. If you have any question, you can contact me via social media. And that's all. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this session. See you next week.